This woman suddenly rose into the air and lost her gravity. The husband rushed to call the emergency services, but even with the best efforts of two strong men, could not pull the woman back to the ground. They couldn't even move a single inch. A few hours later, the doctor measured again and found that the woman had risen another 3 centimeters. This meant that the woman was rising higher and higher. The husband asked if he could get her to come down. The doctor said he wasn't sure. He could only take the woman's blood. Then he would go back to the specialist for testing. Over the next few days, the woman went from being suspended a few centimeters up to tens of centimeters. They had to eat and go to the toilet on the spot. She even had to sleep in the air, wrapped in a blanket. The doctors were at their wits' end with this strange disease. The only solution is a stupid one: putting something heavy to slow down the rise of the woman. But all this did not help. After a few days, the woman's head reached the ceiling. The specialist recommended by the doctor finally arrives. The woman's face broke into a smile. The specialist took out a ruler and measured the distance, but it was only a measurement. The specialist's face became grave. At the current rate, in 10 weeks' time, the woman's body will rise to 10,000 feet. At that altitude, you'll need to carry oxygen and a way to keep warm and a good supply of food. In a few months, she'll be beyond the Kármán line. She'll be in outer space. These words were a death sentence for the woman. The husband is convinced that there must be a way out, but experts say that with the current state of science, there's no way to find out why she's rising, and there was no way to stop her rising. To make his wife more comfortable, the husband, he smashed the floor of the first floor. A woman has a strange disease. The body would go up and up. The husband tried to make her comfortable, smashed the floor of the first floor. Late at night, her daughter has gone to sleep, but this mother watched her silently from the hole in the floor. By the next day, the woman had poked out half of her body. Her daughter looks at the piles of housework. She understands how difficult it is for her mother. She wished she could stay at home with her mother, but her mother told her not to give up her studies. One day, when her daughter came home from school, she heard her mother's screams of pain just as she entered the house. The husband had tied her feet with a rope to keep her from going up. He had tied a rope around her feet. As time passed, the strong pulling force caused the woman to wail in pain. The daughter was about to cut the rope, but the father stopped her. At this point, the woman's foot is pulled off the rope. The daughter pushed her father away. She cut the rope with the knife in her hand. A few days later, the woman was over the top of the building. The family had to use the lift to visit her. The daughter had prepared a lot of food and water for her, oxygen, cotton clothes, and other supplies. She also gave her mother an MP3 to keep her occupied when she was bored. Finally, she gave her mother a 20-pound bag to carry on her back. This slowed down the ascent. The lift began to descend slowly. The husband, who hadn't said a word the whole time, he threw his arms around his wife. This may be the last time they see each other. As the woman rises, the conditions around them get worse and worse. There was very little food left. This was nothing for her. The only pain was missing her family. She called her family. She didn't mention anything about her situation on the phone. She was still concerned about her daughter's studies. Listening to her mother's chatter, her daughter fought back tears so as not to upset her mother. She chose to hang up the phone. The mother, who had been hung up on, had mixed feelings. She took out the MP3 her daughter had given her, trying to lighten her mood, but because her hands were too cold, she accidentally dropped the MP3. The woman was completely devastated. By now she had risen several thousand meters into the air. In addition to the pain caused by her surroundings and the longing for her family, suddenly, thousands of birds appear in the sky. They flew towards the woman and surrounded her. Perhaps she has been alone for too long. Such a scene. It made the woman scream like a child. She hadn't been this happy for a long time. At night it rained heavily. Looking at the rain dripping from the cave entrance, the family could only pray in silence. Soon the woman was above the clouds. After much hesitation, she removes her oxygen mask. She made one last call to her husband. It wasn't that they didn't want to call. It was that they were too afraid to do so. The daughter heard the sound and came over.
Carly,
Mom?
whatever you do, I'm so proud of you. And don't be too hard on your dad. We both love you.
The husband told her to hurry and put on her mask, but the wife told the two to stay away from the hole. Just as the father and daughter were wondering, suddenly a heavy object falls to the ground. It was the woman's backpack that had slowed her ascent.
The sun's coming up. Going faster. I want to go as high as I can. Daddy, I love you.
Then the woman drops her phone and crossed the car door line. The father and daughter were devastated. Sometime later, the hole in the roof was filled by the husband. The daughter also volunteered to take on the household chores. The relationship between father and daughter was much more relaxed. It's only after experience that people really mature.